Well, today we're here at our local high-tech gun range, and we brought the motorcycles this time. I wanted to have a quick discussion on carrying on a motorcycle, and we'll get into that and a little tabletop later on, a little tabletop discussion. But we're here with the aptly named Mistress and the Gypsy, who is behind the camera. So,
And her motorcycle.
and her motorcycle, Gypsy. Hey, it says Gypsy. You can't see it, can you?
No, it's behind the.
Yeah, you see it now. It says Gypsy.
It's a gypsy rebel.
Ah. So we're
Or a
gonna
rebel gypsy, depending on which side of the motorcycle you're on.
we're gonna go in, do some shooting, get some practice in. She's been practicing her motorcycle. Well, we still got to practice on with the firearms. So we'll be right back to you. Okay, we're back on the indoor facility of our lovely high tech facility here, and we're going to just kind of discuss quickly concealed carry when you're on a motorcycle. A lot of people do it a lot of different ways. I'm going to show you the way I do it and the gun that I choose to do it with, and why I choose that particular gun or two guns. Excuse me. Now, open carry is legal in Pennsylvania, but I'm not a real fan of it on a motorcycle because, well, unless you got a really good retention holster, you never know what kind of situation you're going to find yourself in on a motorcycle, and you definitely don't want your firearm falling out of your holster. Same thing goes for inside the waistband. If you got a good retention holster, you should be okay. But if you're portly like I am, okay, fat like I am, um, inside the waistband becomes painful and, well, might as well just say not an option because the gun is poking you right in the fat roll. So
And when you're sitting down.
well, it's all for the sitting position. I mean, you can do that at home and see what's comfortable for you. You don't have to get on the bike right away. You can use a chair in your kitchen and try that. If you're a guy who rides a sport bike, obviously you're folded over more. So an appendix carry may wind up being um, annoying. I think it'd be the mild way of saying it. But what I choose is I carry in my vest. Um, you can see there's a little pocket in here. Okay, and I added a little tab to it. So it's easy to unzip and the gun is in there. Now, you're gonna have to bear with me for a second. I need to clear my gun because I just came in off the road. So while I'm making sure the gun's clear, there's the magazine from it. There's the round from the chamber, and you can see no magazine. So drawing this gun, not really fast. I've timed it. I can get a little over 2 seconds, but on the average, it's closer to 3 seconds on a draw. Now, some people will say that's ridiculously slow. Well, I don't know about you, but on a motorcycle, your hands are busy to begin with.
That's why you got a woman sit behind you.
Yeah, that's why you have somebody behind you. She can get at her gun, no problems, no matter how she carries it. But it's when you're off the bike.
You can get at your gun.
Yeah, you can get at my gun. But it's off the bike that you need to, you may need to draw quickly. So when I'm off the bike, my vest is not snapped, it's loose like this, and the pocket is usually either unzipped or mostly unzipped. So I can just reach in, well, let me unzip it, reach in, pull the gun out, and, pretty much just so you see that. So the gun that I choose In this case, there's actually two guns. One is the, I don't know if you can see that, the Ruger LC9. It's the old school LC9 with the double action trigger, unlike Gypsy's LC9S, which was a striker fired. And then the Glock 42, which is another one of my favorites to carry.
You'll also carry the revolver too?
I carry the revolver, but very rarely. Most of the time, the revolver goes in my pocket when we're going out to dinner, in the car, down to the store. I'm not really on the motorcycle. I used to carry the revolver, Smith & Wesson 642, on the motorcycle with a different vest that I had, which had a pocket that was like this, where there was no retention on it at all, and it was a lot smaller leather vest, and the gun fit in there securely. You don't have to worry about it. The other thing I worry about when you're on a motorcycle is if you fall. We try not to, but if you do fall, if it's outside the waistband, I don't know about you, but have you ever landed on a gun that's outside or in your waistband? That leaves a mark. And I don't know, it could possibly damage the gun. Or it could possibly come loose and go on the ground. I've seen instances of that happening on videos where a guy fell off the bike or got dragged out of a car and the gun fell out of his holster. Most of the time they weren't doing anything that was that good. So these are my two choices that I carry now. I carry mostly the LC9. I just want 9mm for some reason. And I like the double action trigger because it's a lot less of a chance of an inadvertent discharge. Where, you're nervous, you got gloves on. I like that heavier trigger. The Glock is much lighter. This trigger guard is about the same. You still access it with a reasonable pair of gloves on, but you could easily fire that gun when you're not thinking of doing it. So I don't want an accidental discharge, meaning I don't want that gun to go off until I want it to go off. So that's why I choose the LC9. I figured we'd take a closer look at what I'm actually carrying on the motorcycle. The Ruger LC9 old school, just the old school gun. Obviously, I keep it in a pocket holster. Got to keep that trigger guard or trigger covered. The reason I like, banging around things here. The reason why I like this gun so much compared to the newer version of the EC9S, or the striker fired version. Okay, first off, is because of the double action trigger. Okay, secondly, it's got a loaded chamber indicator that tactile. You can feel when it's loaded, you can feel that it's up. You don't have to actually see it, but it's also stands up, it pops up prominently, so you absolutely know the chamber is loaded, which, as you can tell, it's not. We'll double check. Just let me switch hands here so you can see in there. You can see there's nothing in the chamber, but the trigger pull on this being long, heavy, and there you see it break. Now, I prefer that when I'm carrying on the motorcycle, and I think I've mentioned it in the first part of the video, that the accidental discharges are really hard to do. Okay, you really have to pull this trigger in order for the gun to go off. And once you're used to that trigger pull, which I am used to it, it really doesn't bother me. It's very much like my double action revolvers. About the same feel, breaks about the same way. It's great for a pull through style of shooting rather than staging it and then breaking, like you do, a lot of people will do it with a revolver, is they'll get it back to the point where they can feel like it's going to break, and then, and then it breaks. This, you don't have that stacking like a double action. Actually, you can see the hammer coming back right there. Now, you could stop about here and then just go a little bit further and bink. But it works much better with a straight pull through to the brake. And I've gotten used to it. I really liked it. The other part about this gun that I liked was the sights. The 3-dot. They're at least adjustable for windage. The gun shoots point of aim, and I did actually have to move this. Let me do this here through the camera. I'm losing my spot. I did have to make a small adjustment on this. A very tiny adjustment. It was shooting just a hair to the left. Yeah, I think it was left. That was it. And from 7 yards to, we'll say about 20 yards, it's pretty much the same point of aim. If there's a little drop in, in the point of impact, it's not going to be enough to make a difference. But the sights show up pretty good. And the gun, even with the extension, I don't get a whole lot more real estate with the extension, but the reason why these are on here is that it makes the gun easier to draw out of my pocket, the vest pocket, I should say, because you can kind of hook it and draw it out. As far as shooting is concerned, the pinky doesn't do much of anything. You can actually put my pinky under here if I really wanted to, or in most cases, my pinky's just kind of resting here. Let me grab Gypsy's LC9. And you can see it's quite a difference in the sights. I mean, theirs shows up pretty well. They're up there. And they may not be a 3-dot, but they still work. And of course, hers is striker fired as opposed to the hammer on mine. Oddly enough, the trigger pulls, the length of the pull is about the same. I'll give you an idea. And it broke right about there. You could hear it. Okay, mine has to go all the way to the back here for it to break. Hers breaks right about there. And yes, it's definitely a much lighter trigger pull. They've got the little Glock-like trigger dingus, whatever you want to call it. Inertia, safety, what have you. I mean, both these guns have a manual safety. Unfortunately for me, it's only on the one side. So it's a right-handed only safety, but, both Gypsy and I have learned how to manipulate them if we need to use them. Most of the time, we don't carry these with the safety on at all. So, but yeah, the guns are identical. I mean, absolutely identical. Hey, stay there. There is no real difference in grip, length, nothing. There's no difference at all, except in the trigger. And with the fact that these use a sight window. Where is it? Yeah, right here. There's a little sight window to see if you're loaded. Some people like that. Most of my guns are like that. Most of my other guns are like that. They have a little sight window. But this, with that little bar on top, it's old school, but I like it better. I can tell just by touching if the gun's got a round chambered. You know, I always carry a knife with me when I'm on the motorcycle. Actually, I carry a pocket knife with me pretty much wherever I go. But I don't do fighting knives. I'm not a knife fighter. I probably would wind up hurting myself more than anybody else. But this is just a nice utility knife. Got to cut a fuel line, or you got some bungee cords that are gotten mangled up. It's a great knife for that. My other carry knife is one of these, I don't know, ooh, easy now. I don't know, East German, whatever kind of knife. You know, it's got a, you know, a decent blade there. It's got your usual can opener, saw blade kind of thing. This is actually quite sharp, this can opener part. I don't know if that's useful for anything. And then on this side, you got your saw and the file and the screwdriver and what have you. This is actually a great little knife. Picked this up at a Army Navy store in Gettysburg, PA, of all places. But this is what I carry on the bike. I also carry pepper spray, but that's actually in the bike. In the up on the dashboard, I got a little vinyl leather whatever thing compartment that attaches to the windshield, and it's got 3 pockets in the front and a big one in the back. That's where I carry my pepper spray, in one of those compartments. Now, as far as the ammo that I carry in this gun, it can vary. Primarily, I carry Federal Punch. I figure if I'm on the bike, you know, the other ammo that I normally carry, that I would be carrying, is the centerfire frangible rounds. But I don't think they have any kind of barrier. They say they do. They say they can penetrate, you know, the average barrier. I don't know what they're considering the average barrier, but if I have to, I don't want to say it, but, you know, if for some reason I have to shoot through a window, I think the punch would do a better job. Not that I intend on ever doing that, you know, but you just never know what you run into when you're out in the world. And that's why we carry these. We carry them for protection, not as to be offensive in any way. Now, some people may knock me because I like this particular gun. They'll knock me because it doesn't have a lot of capacity. Okay, it's 8 rounds, 7 in the mag, 1 in the chamber, 8 rounds. I always have a spare mag with me. Yeah, this one's loaded. I always have a spare mag with me, so to me that's plenty of ammo. If I can't get out of a situation with the 8 rounds that are in the gun, you know, I really wasn't paying attention to what was going on around me. So the whole idea is just to get away from this stuff, not to charge in like the police have to. You know, that's why they carry high capacity guns. I have, you know, that's fine. I don't carry what you want, but I don't feel like I need to have 15, 17, 19 round magazines for self-protection. Most of the time, if I'm not riding, I'm either carrying my Glock 42 or I'm carrying a Smith & Wesson J-frame with one speed loader set up. So, you know, I got 10 rounds. It's self-defense. It's not the zombie apocalypse. So, anyway, thanks for watching, and have a good day.